Welcome guys to 12 creative ways that you can stabilize your camera shots. Here we go. Alright guys, now we are back into the studio. So I'm going to be taking a look at the raw footages that we have caught that day. Now what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be trying my best to highlight on what are the differences between the stabilization systems. In this case, there are 12 ways that we have stabilized the footage, or at least attempt to stabilize the footage. And I'll compare it to a control. A control meaning a one where we don't have any stabilizer. So just a quick disclaimer, we are running this on a 90D on a 50mm lens that has no IS as a control. Now with this in mind, we are looking at about an 80 to 85mm focal range because of the fact there's a 1.6 crop factor onto that 50mm. So at 85mm, it is a pretty tight angle, which means the slightest of jitter would produce very obvious signs of a not stable footage. So in this case, most of our shots are not that stable, but nevertheless, let's find out on what kind of stabilization system works well. Here we go. Okay, with that in mind, I can see that because of the fact that we are shooting at 24 frames per second at 1/50th of the shutter speed, motion blur is very evident in this clip. So from the time when I'm running, you can see even the smallest of movement of moving forward, you can see a big blur happening on the subject's hair, on his body. No, I don't think this footage is usable at all. Alright, so moving on to the first system that we have implemented is to use a skateboard. Yeah, fair bit better. Like we could actually use this clip. This clip is definitely usable. So I'd say pass. Good work. But again, you have to be careful of your environment because this is obviously a car park. So a cemented floor is the best way you can get the smoothest traction on the skateboard. If you're on the road, kind of doubt it. On the next one, we have the high-end smartphones. Yeah, the footage looks very clean, coming from the fact that we were running on a side-by-side profile, and this was shot on its not ultra wide, but it was shot on wide, which is okay. It's decent. I would say that this clip is okay. Now, aside from the iPhone 12 Pro Max, but what about those Android users? So we have a clip here using the Samsung S20 Galaxy Ultra. Now that I look back at this footage, why would you get an Osmo Mobile 3? When you can easily turn on stabilizer system on your phone, run with your friend at the same speed and taking a cinematic image like this. However, it locks me in from 4K mode. It locks me into only shooting at 1080 at 30 frames. So what you're seeing here, it's 1080, 30 frames per second. I can't even do it at 24 frames per second, nor can I do it at 60 frames per second. It's locked in. I'd say this gets a pass for me. Like I would use this in my video just for the sole fact that the dynamic range is so good and the stabilization is even better than iPhones, I might say so myself. Now going on to the third aspect, we are looking into using a car and filming outside of the car. Yeah, shooting from a car is stable, but it depends a lot onto the person operating the camera. So in this case, normally when you want to shoot out from a car, you would have at least two person, right? One driving the car and you'll be in the passenger seat shooting the camera, right? But for this case, my brother's doing both things at once. So he's driving the car, holding one hand with the camera, one hand with the car. He's filming like this. So obviously, the quality and the stableness is not there, but I'd say it is accessible. And moving on to point number 4 is the use an electronic gimbal. Now in this day and age of 2021, I have not known a single videographer that does not own a DJI Ronin S or Ronin SC or RS2, RSC2. I don't know. Everyone seems to have one already. It's like a bread and butter. It's like having a bread and having a butter. So it's a bread and... sorry. Okay, that's actually pretty clean. Not the best, not the stablest footage I've seen so far. Yeah, I will pass this clip. And now moving on to the next one, we have to use a manual gimbal. So a manual gimbal is in reference to a fly cam or a glide cam and stuff like that. But I'm using a very cheap third-party China one, so it's probably like $20 only. Let's have a look at the footage real quick. No, this gets a fail. This is not usable at all. It has a bit of improvement from that of being like a control, meaning to say handheld. There is improvement. Oh, I don't think a stabilization system would work. Not at least the one that I had, which is $20. Maybe you might want to spend a little bit more and more expensive stuff. But for me, this is a no. And the next point will be drone shots. So how does a drone do against all of this? Let's find out. Winner. I think we have a winner here. Definitely. I think we have a winner here. I'm very impressed with DJI. I'm seriously very impressed with them. There are times when I just wonder, do we even need a stabilization system? Look, if we can get an image quality of a DSLR from a drone, DJI would slaughter and kill all those camera manufacturers. And that fits the need of today's video. How do we shoot a stable footage? And I think this can easily become a very viable option for you if you decide to shoot very stable footage. So far we've seen manual gimbal, car, skateboard, the control, now even the drone and smartphones. And I'm thinking, what can we take it up to another ante, right? Maybe we try to include something a little bit more stable than a drone. What do you think that would be? And the next one we'll be looking into a tripod fluid head. There is a problem with this. Although this footage seems very stable, but did you notice that there is a change in the horizon? So let's look at it real quick. This is what I mean, right? So if you can see, the subject starts out running from the left of the screen and he goes into the middle. So I want you to pay attention onto the horizons, right? The straight lines. So you can see at this point here, the horizon is slightly tilting down. So this is a limitation from a fluid head that I've discovered, right? So as you're moving from left to right, what may affect your horizon is that ball in the middle that your fluid head goes on top. And on to the next one, we have in a slider. I would say the footage, it's probably one of the best quality ones aside from the Samsung S20 Ultra in terms of stableness and the drone as well. Now we're moving on to point number 9, 120 frames per second. Okay. Not bad. Now there is something magical about shooting slow motion action sports and this is one of them. I think it's pretty good. Like I would use that clip into my project. So yes, that's a pass for me. Now moving on to point number 10, using an IS lens. Certain lenses have IS, which means image stabilizer. Let's see how it looks like. that having that IS does help in one way. If you're holding camera steady from your hands and you don't want it to shake so much, IS works very well at that. But IS does not work well when you're trying to track a subject that's running on the parallel way. Alright, now moving on to point number 11, let's look into optical image stabilizer or in-body image stabilization from your camera. So in this case, Canon cameras, they have enhanced IS. Let's see how it looks like. Nope, not the best. Nah, reject. And on the last point of the day, point number 12, shooting at the widest angle lens. No, I don't think we can pass this footage. So with this in mind, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned a thing or two from this experiment. If you want to see more of these kind of videos, please do help me out by clicking like, subscribe to this channel so that I can produce more content like this again. So my name is Rodric, and if you have any other further questions, please leave in the comment down section below. I'll be sure to check them out, okay? See you guys next week, alright? Ciao.